Ohio State is coming off a down year. The Buckeyes went just 11-2, but they failed to win the Big Ten, failed to even make the Big Ten championship game, and lost to Michigan for the first time since 2011. But all of that is in the past. The Buckeyes now, guys, are loaded this year, and they're out for revenge and poised to make the college football playoff in 2022. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys, ready to break down, analyze, and predict Ohio State's schedule and record for this upcoming college football season. A season, guys, where Ohio State may be the best team in the country. That is how good this Ohio State team is. Most people have them ranked second heading into the season, only behind Alabama. And you look at the numbers, guys, it's justified. Ohio State returns 73% of their production from last year, the team that did win 11 games and won the Rose Bowl over Utah. That is 25th in the nation, guys, in returning production. They return the majority of the members from the number one ranked offense in the country last year. Buckeyes were first in scoring, first in total offense. They have their star quarterback returning in C.J. Stroud, who threw for 44 touchdowns. Travion Henderson returns at running back. Jackson Smith-Njigba returns at wide receiver, alongside Marvin Harrison Jr., who's not getting nearly enough attention. This offense, guys, that averaged over 560 yards per game last year, has a chance to be even better than they were in 2021. When you look at the defense, that's the area that needs the biggest help, the most help, because that was kind of Ohio State's downfall last year. They were 59th overall in total defense, but they were 97th versus the pass. The secondary, which should improve drastically with the talent they have, is the area that needs the most improvement. And Ryan Day recognized their defensive woes and went out and got Jim Knowles, the star defensive coordinator from Oklahoma State, brought him into Columbus, and I think he's going to do extremely well in his first year with the Buckeyes. You take a look at their schedule, guys. Ohio State has a pretty favorable schedule to run the table, get back to the Big Ten championship game, maybe get back to the college football playoff. They open the year, though, against Notre Dame. That's not an easy matchup, guys. A potential top 10 showdown on Saturday night, week 1. A huge, huge game for both teams that are, both of them, going to be college football playoff contenders in 2022. I will say, though, I think this game is bigger for Notre Dame than Ohio State. We know the Fighting Irish, one loss could ruin their playoff hopes, whereas for Ohio State, one loss definitely will not ruin their playoff hopes. Notre Dame, guys, I would say has the defensive advantage over Ohio State in this game. I do feel confident in saying that. Marcus Freeman, excellent defensive-minded coach. Notre Dame's defense was solid last year, returns a lot of their star players this year. But Ohio State owns the offensive edge in a big way. They own home field advantage, obviously, in a big way. And I don't think that Notre Dame's offense, which is dealing with a bunch of new pieces here, including dealing with a new quarterback, I don't think they have the offense to hang with Ohio State. I don't think Notre Dame has the offense to put up the numbers against an Ohio State defense that, again, will be learning a little bit under Jim Knowles, but isn't going to be garbage in week 1 by any means. I think Ohio State does beat Notre Dame. I think they win this game by at least 10 points in Columbus on Saturday night. And just like that, again, proving, hey, not that we were ever gone, but we're back. We're here to stay. We just knocked off a top 10 opponent in the first week of the year. You better watch out for us. We do think Ohio State wins their next 2, should take easy care of Arkansas State and Toledo, and then they enter Big Ten Conference play, which when you look at it, guys, is pretty favorable. They open the year up against Wisconsin, and you may well say, how is that favorable? Wisconsin's one of the better teams out of the Big Ten West. So the cross-division games against Wisconsin and Iowa, and some would say maybe Northwestern, but Wisconsin and Iowa, some would say are tough. But you look at that and you realize Ohio State gets both of them at home. It's not that big a deal. It's very beneficial for the Buckeyes. The Wisconsin game, guys, will pit the number 1 offense from last year in Ohio State against the number 1 defense from last year in Wisconsin. So which one's going to give here? To me, guys, this game is similar to the Notre Dame game that we just talked about. Wisconsin's defense is phenomenal and owns that edge right now over Ohio State. But the Badgers' offense is not good. They are going to struggle. They have struggled. I don't have faith in Graham Mertz being able to exploit this Ohio State defense. And when you play Wisconsin, if you can shut down the run, you're probably going to be okay. And that's what Jim Knowles is going to do. He's going to shut down the Wisconsin run game, force Graham Mertz to win the game through the air in Columbus, something he's not going to be able to do. And Ohio State will defeat Wisconsin. So just like that, guys, they have navigated the month of September against 2 quality teams in Notre Dame and Wisconsin. They're 4-0. They get into the month of October. Should knock off Rutgers relatively easily. Beat the Scarlet Knights 52-13 last year. They're getting better under Greg Schiano. Nowhere near the point of beating Ohio State, let alone in Columbus. They then go on the road to Michigan State, a team they beat 56-7 last year. Remember when everybody was hyping up that game in late November? Top 10 showdown between Michigan State and Ohio State. It was in Columbus, but hey, if Michigan State wins this game, we're talking potential playoffs for the Spartans, right? And Ohio State annihilated them, 56-7. Why? Because Michigan State had the worst secondary in all of college football. Michigan State was the worst team in the country when it came to stopping the pass. And once again, guys, even though this game is in East Lansing, I don't think Mel Tucker's defense has improved that much for Michigan State to beat Ohio State. I don't. They lose Kenneth Walker. Yes, the offense should be relatively solid, but the defense for Michigan State is still going to be their Achilles heel, guys. And when you look at Ohio State and realize their offense has a chance to be better than they were last year, that doesn't bode well for a Michigan State team that lost by 49 last year. So Ohio State maybe doesn't win by 49, but does beat Michigan State by at least 10 points on the road. They get their bye week, getting into go into the game at Iowa or against Iowa. If the game was at Kinnick Stadium, I'm not saying we'd pick Iowa to win, but it'd be a little bit tougher. But Ohio State's coming off a week of rest, gets to host the Hawkeyes. Again, a similar team with Wisconsin and Notre Dame that has a fantastic defense. Iowa's defense is phenomenal, but their offense is non-existent. And I don't care who you are. When you are facing the best offense in the country, which I believe Ohio State will have again this year, you've got to be able to put up the points. You've got to be able to move the ball. And Iowa will be unable to do that, just like they were for a good amount of last year. So Ohio State, off the week of rest with the game at home, takes down the Hawkeyes, and they are still unbeaten heading into Happy Valley. And, a lot of people, guys, would be picking this game as the loss for Ohio State. If the Buckeyes are going to lose a regular season game, maybe it comes against Notre Dame, maybe it comes against Penn State, maybe it comes against Michigan, but Penn State in Happy Valley, very, very difficult place to play. That's where many would pick it. We're not. We do think Ohio State is able to overcome Happy Valley, the home field advantage that Penn State has. It's a major advantage, and take down the Nittany Lions. The Nittany Lions team that only lost like 33-24 last year to Ohio State. But again, while I think Penn State's defense should be solid and can slow down this Ohio State offense a little bit, hang with them because Penn State typically wakes up for the games against the Buckeyes. They typically do. Not always, but typically. The offense for Penn State is going to be an issue. They were 82nd or worse in just about every major statistical category. 82nd or worse in total yards of offense. 82nd or worse in scoring. 82nd or worse in red zone offense and rushing, where they were ranked 118th. And you've got to be balanced enough to attack the Buckeyes in all areas offensively. Penn State's not going to be able to do that despite having home field advantage. They're just not. So Ohio State, a little bit closer here, I'd say. I wouldn't be surprised if this game's decided by one possession, but does beat Penn State. They do cruise past Northwestern and Indiana, so boom, boom, 2 extra wins there. Northwestern, a horrible team last year, and despite the pattern of being bad and being good, being bad, being good, we expect the Wildcats to struggle again in 2022. Same can be said for Indiana. A lot of new transfers, lost 54-7 last year to Ohio State. It's not in the cards for Tom Allen and the Hoosiers. So, boom, they beat Northwestern, they beat Indiana. They go on the road to Maryland. That's a trap game, 100%. A couple years ago, Maryland nearly beat Ohio State towards the end of the year. That was a trap game, almost one of the bigger upsets of the season. The Terrapins fell just short, their 2-1 conversion falling short in that game. They go on the road now to Maryland, a Maryland team, guys, that, yes, lost to Ohio State 66-17 last year, but should be fantastic offensively. Talia Tungabailoa has one of the better wide receiver cores in the Big Ten this year, and they can exploit this Ohio State defense if they're still struggling in the secondary, which, again, was their weak spot from last year. So this is a trap game for Ohio State. Good offense on the road right before Michigan. Could they be overlooking Maryland? I don't think so. I think the game's a little bit closer than 66-17, but I don't think they overlook the Terrapins here, guys. I think they're able to win this game by at least 2 touchdowns, if not more, because Maryland's weakness, once again, will be their defense. Doesn't bode well when you're facing the number 1 offense in the country. So Ohio State, guys, is 11-0. They get Michigan, the game, season finale. Revenge on their mind. This could be called the Ohio State Revenge Tour if you want it to be. They fell to Michigan last year 42-27 in Ann Arbor. The Ohio State defense, guys, could not stop the Wolverines for anything. But they're going to bounce back and stop them this year in a big way. Revenge is on Ohio State's mind, guys. You lose to your big rival for the first time since 2011, you're going to be anxious to start that streak up again. And unfortunately for Michigan, they have to come to Columbus. So the revenge for Ohio State is going to be on senior night in Columbus. They win this game, they're in the Big Ten championship game, because Michigan, guys, this game easily could determine who wins the Big Ten East if the Wolverines live up to their hype. The problem is Michigan loses so much defensively from last year. The game is on the road, and while their offense should be solid, it can't keep up with Ohio State's offense. Last year, Michigan won that game with home field advantage in a fantastic defensive performance. I don't think they can turn one in again in 2022. So Ohio State at home gets their revenge over Michigan, and we feel very confident about that. And with that win, guys, Ohio State becomes the first team to go undefeated in our Gridiron Expert predictions this year. We've yet to do the rest of the Big Ten. We've yet to do the rest of the SEC. But so far, the Buckeyes, we believe, will be 12-0, the first team we projected to go undefeated, which means Ohio State will be back in the Big Ten championship game. And if they win that, we'll be back in the college football playoff. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Make sure to go check those out, guys. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the country. Go check those out. Sign up for those today. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.